and welcome back to another Yellowjackets recap and review here on Infamous Virus. Season 2, Episode 7, Burial. Sometimes the best therapy is cranking the hits to 11, so today we're exploring the hardcore kid care revival movement, 11 o'clock theatrical birdcore numbers, some late hits of the renovation wave era, Call Us About a Spinoff, flower duets, and a classic live record. Out in the wilderness, Coach Scott does a great Carl Havoc impression for an unimpressed Misty. So quickly before I start, as you can see, my background's a lot different. I moved, so this is gonna be my setup. It's not done yet. I still need to like jazz up the background or whatever. But yeah, this is where my videos are gonna be from now on. So very excited about that. But let's start talking about Yellowjackets now, obviously. So right off the bat, we got a really good needle drop at the beginning of the episode with Something in the Way by Nirvana. I thought this song really fit sort of the vibe, because obviously there was something in the way, which was everyone's grief about the baby dying, and obviously that they're gonna have to like work through that. And also, I didn't realize how snowed in they were into the cabin, and like the door opens like inwards. It was a struggle for them to get that door open to get out, because obviously like they can't just bunker down in the cabin until the snow melts. They need to go out and get food and stuff, so they can't just sit there. It was really sad to see Shauna holding the fur that the baby was wrapped in, but also on a very inappropriate comedic note, I just know it stinks in the cabin. I just know it smells so bad with like the dead baby and the blood all over the bed that Shauna was on, and everyone's been in there for days. I just know it stinks in there. It's probably so stinky in there. So when they got out into the snow, I was a little worried about how they were going to shovel, because no one has gloves and they don't have snow shovels, because why would they? And I don't think they even have a normal shovel. But they were using like bowls and buckets, which I thought was really smart, because obviously they have those resources with them. And then Shauna goes and sort of buries the baby all alone, which was sad, but I'm glad she got to do that by herself, because I feel like it would have just been a whole thing if all the other girls had been there, and it probably would have like prolonged the mourning for Shauna, because she wouldn't have gotten like sort of the last moment with her baby alone, because obviously she wasn't there. She wasn't like conscious for the birth, I guess. Like she has like the dream world baby thing, but obviously that's not the same. So I'm glad she got to bury the baby alone, and I hope no one goes and fucks with the little rock tomb she made for him. One note that I wrote literally I think 5 times during this episode is the fake ass snow. It is ruining everything for me because it looks so bad. And I've said this every single episode. I hate that the snow looks so fake, because obviously I don't want to shit on the show because I love it. And I know that they're probably limited in terms of budget and stuff, and they were shooting on a soundstage, so obviously you can't have real snow, because that'll like ruin gear and equipment and costumes quickly for continuity and stuff if it like melts. But oh my god, it looks so bad. It looks so bad. And it takes me out of it, and it doesn't act like snow at all. Like it's just it's ruining everything. And that's a hyperbole. It's not actually ruining everything, but it's like when they do a scene out in the snow, it's just all I see. It's just it's literally like asbestos or something. That's how bad it looks. It's so fake. It's so fake. So we got another Alanis Morissette intro for the theme song this episode, which was nice because I really liked her version. I think this one was different though than the version we got a couple episodes ago. It sounded a lot different. I don't know if they maybe toned it down a little for sort of like the somber attitude of the show right now, or just sort of set the tone for the episode, because 90s Yellowjackets aren't doing good, and then like the present day Yellowjackets, I'll get more into that. So we see all our grown-up adults surviving Yellowjackets reunite, and people have commented on this a lot, but the contacts they have for adult Ty make her eyes look red. And I know it's hard to like probably find brown contacts dark enough to cover like really blue eyes, but oh my god, it's distracting. She looks like a vampire from Twilight. They're so red. If I could fund the show's colored contact and fake snow budget, I would, because I feel like it would improve everyone's lives a hell of a lot more if I could do that. My next note, I don't even know what this was in reference to, but it just, oh my god, the snow is so fake and bad. literally can't even remember what that was in reference to. It was so distracting. It was so distracting. We jump back to the adult Yellowjackets. And I just wanted to say that Lauren Ambrose has, like, gorgeous hair. Like, we find out that, like, Ty has cancer and is, like, probably not very healthy, but for someone that is terminally ill, her hair is, like, so shiny and sleek and stunning, and I'm so jealous. Like, it's so beautiful. We get some animals this episode in the present day timeline. We get to see a cow, which was awesome. And then we see the baby goat Bruce that Shauna takes care of in the episode. I was jealous of the goat because I want Melanie Linsky to pick me up and carry me around and care for me. So we almost lost Coach Ben this episode. He's having his crazy, like, VHS glitches with Paul. I think he's a very glitched by Taylor Swift coded character. Swifties, if you can relate, let me know. Paul says he has to leave Ben, but is the wilderness sort of influencing these, like, dreams he's having? So is, like, the wilderness giving Ben the boot from, like, Paul's mind palace? Is something in Ben telling him that he has to, like, get out of the state that he's in or whatever? I would love to know more about that. He also shaves his beard this episode, and I'm just not used to seeing him without a beard anymore. Pretty much for most of the show, we've seen him with a beard, because obviously you want to, like, conserve stuff in the wilderness, and I don't know, you don't need to, like, shave all the time if no one's gonna see you. So yeah, it was interesting to see him without a beard. Did he shave his face so that when the girls ate him, I don't know, they wouldn't have to, like, eat his hair or whatever, but also the hair would have burned? I don't know. I don't know why he shaved. Probably also for continuity stuff. I think I saw on Reddit earlier that he needed a beard to shoot the wilderness stuff, but also couldn't have facial hair to shoot the flashback scenes and, like, the dream stuff with Paul, because he's clean shaven in those. And in, like, the sex ed scene. So maybe it was tied into that, but we've got babyface Ben back. The girls all go to look for Crystal/Kristen in the snow, and I wonder if Misty was influenced by Crystal's comment to her about not being a good actor at all, because Misty kind of, like, kicks it into high gear when looking for Crystal, because obviously, like, Misty knows what happens. Is she, like, channeling something there? Is she acting? I don't know. Samantha Hanratty acted her ass off in this episode. She was, like, MVP probably. She did so many emotions. It was so good. We get a little conversation between two of, like, the background Yellowjackets. I can't remember their names, but they were talking about if they find Crystal, they were like, oh, like, it'll be so great if she lived, but if she's dead, they were basically saying that, like, they wouldn't mind eating her, which was funny. It's like they were excited to be cannibals again, which is just, like, it's so fucked up, but that's, like, the situation that they're in right now. We get a conversation out in the woods with Ty and Lottie, sort of talking about the sleepwalking and stuff and Lottie's connection to the wilderness, and then we flip the script, and it's adult Ty and Lottie talking about Ty's sleepwalking and, like, connections and stuff, and I thought that was really cool to have two parallel conversations back to back and sort of seeing how these characters, like, matured and evolved since their time in the wilderness. So Misty escapes the sensory deprivation tank that she didn't get into yet but didn't want to go into, and goes and finds Shauna in the woods, and Shauna has lost the goat. Misty makes a joke, and she was like, I was just joshing you around. And Shauna's like, I don't want to be joshed around. And I thought that line was really funny, really good delivery. Once again, my next note is just fake-ass snow. It's so bad. I don't know what that is in reference to. I think it's when Misty's digging through the snow to find Crystal and the body's not there, which does raise some questions. We see Ben on his crutches going through the woods, and he's, like, surprisingly mobile on them. Which I thought would be a little more difficult because crutches in the snow, but if the snow is so fucking fake that it just doesn't act like real snow, I don't think it matters. I'm so sorry, Yellowjackets production designers, that I'm shitting all over your fake snow, but it was so bad. It was so bad. So Shauna goes into the meat shed and is begging Jackie to, I guess, appear or whatever. She was sort of looking at where Jackie's body was in the meat shed and, like, calling out for her and stuff, and then just, like, sobs, and, like, I felt that. She was crying. She was sobbing. Shauna gives a really good monologue to Lottie about Callie and being scared to be her mom and care for her because she's obviously still traumatized from the wilderness baby, like dying and having something that's not completely hers, because obviously when Shauna was pregnant with the wilderness baby, when she was born, it was like it was our baby, just like Lottie says. So it was never really Shauna's baby to begin with, in a sense, because everyone else felt like they needed to be involved with everything so quickly. And that was just such a good monologue. It was like so heartbreaking. So there were a lot of hints in the episode synopsis that were like weird, like 11 o'clock theatrical birdcore numbers. It was like, what the fuck is that? But Misty's sensory deprivation tank sort of vision is just this insane dance sequence with like some dude dressed as Caligula doing a dance. Elijah Wood's there with a top hat and a cane, like dancing, which I thought was hilarious. There's like these illustrations of like the black box flight recorder smashing and the axe and like a syringe and a pair of wings just floating around here too. I thought it was such a cool sequence. It was something so different than what we've seen on the show before. And I think it really added a lot of uniqueness and sort of insight into Misty's mind and stuff. I really love that the personification of her pet bird is like a Broadway performer. Like that's very on character. The whole sequence was so incredible, with like the phone call and like the Morse code heart around her. It was so well done, because obviously you could do a dream sequence like this and have it look really, really bad, but I think they managed to do it so well. So hats off to everyone involved with Misty's dream sequence. It was perfect. I'm so glad that Misty has realized that Walter is a good person for her, because I've been rooting for them since Elijah Wood showed up on the show. I think I was rooting for them even before he showed up on the show, because I knew that their energies would play off each other so well. So I cannot wait till the next episode. Hopefully he shows up. Misty calls him and it goes to voicemail, so hopefully nothing is wrong. So there's more fake-ass snow, and Misty is still digging through the fake-ass snow to find Crystal's body. But the body is like gone, or maybe it was just buried too much under the snow for Misty to find her, but she did dig a lot and the body is gone. So I wonder if something or someone else took it already. I'm not quite sure. And then we see Ben standing on the cliff in sort of like a front-on shot. I feel like the cliff was CGI because it kind of looked a little bad. But obviously there's only so much they can do if they're shooting on a soundstage, and you can't have like a real cliff in a sense, and probably most of it's going to have to be computer generated. Misty makes a comment about how she's going to enjoy eating his high-calorie butt meat. And then my next note was Samantha Hanratty acting her high-calorie butt meat off in this episode, which if I did a written review for these, I would have included. But I do a podcast video review, so that's where it's going to be. That's where my quote is going to be. I knew as soon as Ty took her wedding ring off that it was going to be kiss time with Van. I liked Van's comment where she was like, I don't think marrying that rock is going to do anything for you. And then they make out and Van's like, I don't have much time left. I have cancer, which is just like, holy shit. I feel like Van could end up being a sacrifice because she said she had months to live, which is quite jarring. And obviously Ty is the only person in the group that knows right now. Then we have a scene with Lottie and her therapist, and I was like, this therapist must just have, like, incredible availability, because it's the middle of the night right now, and Lottie is talking to her. And then I wrote, is she even real? And then we find out that she wasn't, and it was all a vision. We see the Antler Queen. It's crazy. So Lottie's not doing so hot right now. So then she goes to see the other Yellowjackets, and Free by Florence and the Machine is playing, which is a song that I love. So I was so excited to hear that. We know that Florence did a cover of Just a Girl by No Doubt for this season of the show, so I love that they included some of her other music. It was so nice to see the adult Yellowjackets, like, drinking together and stuff, and just, like, I wrote women being girls and then, like, a crying face emoji, because that's what it was. They were, like, being young again, in a sense, and just, like, having fun and being teenagers. I love that they sort of didn't want to talk about the wilderness at all. Like, obviously they talk about what they can remember and stuff, but I think it's funny that Misty brought it up, and they're like, holy fuck, like, we do not want to reminisce on fucking dying in the woods for months. I also noticed in this scene, the room they're in, the chandelier is all made of antlers. I don't know if that was intentional or maybe it was just there from the beginning, but we know the Antler Queen is like a big thing for fans, so I don't know if maybe it was hinting at that. Obviously, were there the survivors? Someone in that room is bound to be the Antler Queen. There's a couple songs that play during this, and I think they were playing it off a CD player, so I just want to know, like, who burned this CD, or, like, whose playlist it was, because it was full of bangers. We go back to the cabin, and Shauna punches Misty, and then punches Lottie, and then Lottie's just like, fucking give it to me, girl. And Shauna beats the fucking pulp out of her, to the point where we think Lottie dies for a minute, but is fine. But she is fucking wrecked. She is destroyed. So it'll be interesting to see sort of that healing process over the finale of the show, and if without Lottie being sort of their spiritual guide in the wilderness, if things are going to go wrong, because we know that sort of the stuff that Lottie does helps the group in a sense. So I wonder if she's unable to do that, if bad things are going to happen. Because obviously there's that scene where they're all running with weapons in the woods. I want it to be next Friday so I can see what happens. I just want it to be next Friday and then the Friday after that, because I just want to find out what happens. I want to see if there's a secret 10th episode or if we're getting a really long finale. But before this episode wraps up, Shauna gets a call from Jeff, and the police have found Adam's body buried. Jeff sort of tells Shauna on the phone. I guess in case someone is listening, he says it very like vaguely, and like Shauna wouldn't know he was dead or whatever. So that will be interesting, because obviously that's a big plot line that's going to play out in the present timeline, so we'll see where that goes from there. And then finally the episode ends with the chorus of Dream Girl Evil by Florence and the Machine, which I thought was so fitting. Yeah, that was episode 7 of Yellowjackets. I don't want the season to be over, because obviously this is one of my favorite shows right now and I want it to keep going forever, but I can't wait to see how they wrap up this whole finale, because obviously I think they can only do the Adam Martin plotline for so much longer before people start getting sick of it. I'm kind of over it personally. I really don't care about it anymore. I want something sort of new in the present timeline to dawdle on and stuff. And then, yeah, I'm just interested to see how the wilderness fares out, and when spring or summer comes, and just find out what my messy women are going to get up to. I love my messy women so much. They bring me so much joy and strife through this show. So I cannot wait for the finale, but I also don't want it to end. So let me know what you thought of this episode down in the comments, and feel free to correct any of my theories or statements, because I watched it last night and I'm recording it the next morning. So I'm sure my total memory of it is a little jingle-jangled around. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next Friday for another Yellowjackets recap and review here on Infamous Virus. Thank you so much for watching, and stay groovy.